What's going on, Sons of Montezuma? We are back with a new episode. The Aztecs, unfortunately, well, they lose in the Bay Area to Cal. We're going to talk about it all. Coming up next. Join us.
In that win at Auburn. Receiver in motion and a play fake on first down, and Mendoza goes down right away. San Diego State blitzes the linebacker. Tano Latuli with the sack. They do. And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there and he smashed the Cal quarterback for the second sack already. First and goal, Cal. Mendoza keeps it. Fernando Mendoza walks in. Touchdown. Backfield for Mendoza. He's looking to throw, and he throws. It's tipped up. Intercepted. Intercepted, and Latuli with the return. Cutting it back middle. Now left sideline. Latuli. Touchdown! What a play! And there's a flag on the field way back near midfield. 3rd and 4. That pass complete. And picking his way downfield, still on his feet, still going. How about that move? Inside the 5, touchdown. Thomas in, Mendoza throws, and that one is caught. Touchdown. So the final seconds tick off the clock. Cal took them a while to get going, but they moved to 3-0, 31-10.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. Of course, you know Mateo San Diego on here as usual. It's a tough week to get on here. Nobody wants to, well, man, we lost. With 31-10, the Aztecs lose to Cal, but I am joined to my left. He is, well, he's looking at me. He's got that deer in the headlights look, man. It's James.
What's up, man? It's good to be here, having a drink, enjoying the live setting, but you know, it's tough to talk about Saturday, man. That was a rough thing to watch.
Well, just for you guys watching at home, we are here in National City at Over the Tap. They are an amazing beer bar down here. Everything on tap. Like the tap system is amazing. If you guys are ever down here in the South Bay, come check it out. They're big Aztec supporters, big Sweetwater High supporters. And we have Mr. Andrew.
Mesero.
Mr. Andrew, he has been working diligently.
Thank you.
Saca las beers for Mr. James.
He's been working so hard to get this stream up and running, guys. He is just being
And for Mr. Mateo.
Oh boy, don't tilt it too much. Don't tilt it too much. I got it.
He's gonna watch the figure. We got him a hooch.
All right.
Hooch. Double deuce on the menu.
We got some beers, kombucha. James,
I got
a new episode.
Mexican IPA, so
okay.
You know,
all right.
I got to stick to the root.
Well, guys, we thank you for joining the stream. It's a little different. It's a little bit of a different setup for us here. We're watching the Padres as they tie things up with Manny Machado.
Oh yeah.
James, I was in San Francisco Friday night for the Padres win. I was in Berkeley Saturday for the Aztecs loss. And then I decided to go back Sunday for the Padres victory again. It was a wild weekend in the Bay. I see some Beavers in the chat, our new conference members. There's a lot to get into, man, because we haven't even talked about the Pac-12. We have not even gotten into our thoughts and everything about the Pac-12, but this week was an interesting one going against Cal. Back-to-back weeks after Oregon State, we wanted to see how we were going to stack up, and boy, it's been a rough go for the Sean Lewis era so far, man. 3 games in, and 1-2. James, I mean, the only win is against an FCS opponent.
Yeah, man.
Are you getting restless? I'm
not getting restless.
No.
But, you know, the biggest thing, you know, everybody's going to talk about it is the penalties. Anytime they got a little bit of momentum in that game on Saturday, penalties kind of killed the momentum. And they're not a good enough team yet to overcome stuff like that. Yeah. So, yeah, you have to play like a perfect game to beat a team that's equally or slightly better than you talent-wise. And they're just not even close to playing a perfect game yet. So hopefully it's something that'll develop over the season. It'll get better. But until it does, you know, we're going to have results like this.
31-10. The game, again, was a one-score game for a large part of it. And as you guys saw in the highlights, I was there in the stands. It was very frustrating on the offensive side. The penalties, as you said, James, I mean, we're looking at how many penalties. The first week was 16, then they cut it down to 8. And then this week, I mean, I think we're looking at, 11?
Yeah.
Something like that, 11?
It went the wrong direction.
But, before we even get into any conspiracy theory talk, the pick 6 that you guys saw from Tana Lutuli, I mean, that was the momentum play of the game. The defense was hitting. The first play of the game, Lutuli gets a sack. And you're thinking like, okay, they're reading the clipboard material. They're reading the paper, understanding that Cal beat Auburn. That environment was awesome. The students were all there. They were talking trash to us all week online. As many of you guys know, Fiend was engaging in a little sparring session. So, I mean, it was just a great environment, man. It was just a great environment to be there. But that pick 6, maybe the most phantom block in the back that I've seen in quite some time. This was the Mountain West referee group. Can I feed into that a little bit?
No, man, we're not going to get into that QAnon nonsense.
Oh, come on, man.
But, referees, I think the national media was complaining about the referees all weekend. So it's just referees are bad right now. I don't know if it was just a bad week or whatever, but obviously I agree it was a bad call, but there's going to be calls that go your way. It all kind of evens out in the end is the way I look at it. It was just it was unfortunate because that kind of the momentum was already kind of on our side, and that like threw it way on our side. If that touchdown would have held up, that would have like completely changed the complexion of the game. And unfortunately it didn't because of the penalty. And then what happens when we get the ball, penalties on our side too. So the biggest thing is it's like self-inflicted wounds. And until the guys stop doing that, it's going to be a struggle for this offense to get going. And the struggles on the offense are kind of exasperating the ability for the defense to keep them in the game. You saw, second half, they were just kind of running out of gas trying to contain that running game. But I was, on the defensive side, I was pleased. They got a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which is something we haven't seen around here in a little bit. So without having to do crazy exotic blitzes. So that was kind of cool to see. And hopefully that's a building block going forward is the way the defense is able to put pressure on the quarterback.
I said coming into this game, we were going to need at least 2 turnovers. The offense was going to have to produce. And 2 turnovers, that was like my main number going for. And, man, you're right. I mean, the pressure they were putting on Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback there for Cal, it was very different. Of course, with Oregon State, they're a more running team, so you kind of really had to – they limited the opportunities that you were going to have for those turnovers. But the pick 6, the sacks, a couple guys that you really want to highlight that did an amazing job on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, we talked about Tana Lutuli, but, man – Mr. White.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about him on the defensive line? Because he has just been impressive. I know it's only 3 games in, but getting the opportunity, you're seeing why he was named by his peers as a captain of this defense.
Yeah, I think you're seeing him get more comfortable with the position. He kind of played a similar position in high school. So I think this is kind of getting back to what he's comfortable with, but they've been having him playing on his standing up for so long, he might have lost a little bit of it. But he's kind of finding his groove again, and I think he's going to be like a force to be reckoned with this year. And I'm super excited to see how he goes when he goes against Mountain West foes and CMU in 2 weeks. So yeah, man, he's so impressive. We've always been big fans of his as it is, but I think him being able to put his hand on the ground has really kind of allowed him to just play instead of having to think and react. And it's just letting him use his natural ability to get after the quarterback, man, and make plays, cause disruptions. And we saw that on Saturday.
Trey White, 2.5 sacks, it looks like, when I'm looking at the stat sheet. And, of course, tackles for losses included in that. But just a leader there on that defensive line. And, people are going to look at the game, especially in the fourth quarter. We got gashed on that defensive line just the same, right? Yeah. But I think you hit into that, right? I mean, just by that point in the fourth quarter, you weren't getting that production, scoring-wise. It was just the levee broke, It overflowed. And at that point, what can you do? I mean, it's going to happen if you're not producing, not possessing the ball offensively, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, the double-edged sword when you have like a fast offense that Coach Lewis wants to bring. The difference between this offense and the old school program we had was, even if the offense didn't do anything under the old program, they were still holding the ball for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Versus this offense, if it doesn't work, they have the ball for like 30 seconds. So that's a big difference. It doesn't give the guys on defense a chance to get a blow and get some rest. And they're never going to say it, but it affects you, man. When you're out there for, I didn't look at the play count, but I imagine they were out there for like 60 plays or something, 40, 50 plays, something like that. So, yeah, dude, it kind of affects you. And, you know, you can only bow up for so long before you finally have to, you know, you can't keep doing it. So the end result, and everybody knows, it's not a secret that, you know, the offense has to get going. So hopefully that's what we brought this coach in to do. And we know he can do it. It's just, he's got to get it. He's got to find the right formula here. And hopefully we'll see that as the season progresses. It's still early, man. We haven't even played a Mountain West Conference game yet. So it's too early to panic and throw the baby out with the bathwater and talk about, you know, it's a bad hire. And I've seen some of that stuff on social media. Like, it's way too early for that stuff. Let's just kind of see how the season plays out. You know, if we're still talking about these things going on in week 8, 9, 10, then we can start talking about, hey, man, what's going on here?
Against different competition, Mountain West competition.
So it's way too early to be pulling an emergency e-brake or anything like that. So
it is a little tough, though. I think at the beginning of the year, we looked at the schedule, and of course, you look at Oregon State, you look at Cal. These are not like, you know, Pac-12 dominant players, but just understanding the situation with San Diego State having to recruit late, especially, you know, on that offensive line. I have all faith in abilities of the coaching staff to get this thing going right, but just the situation at hand, what it is what it is. You know, you got injuries on the offensive line you've already having to go through, a whole new scheme. You know, people don't necessarily want to hear it. When you bring in a whole new scheme that is like night and day from everything we've been running for a decade plus, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. The growing pains, as we wrote in our article last week, the growing pains are going to be there. I just don't think anybody expected the one touchdown in 2 games to be that type of a growing pain, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. Either way, you know, they got to buckle down this week. We're
not going to pretend like that didn't happen under the previous program. I mean, you got shut out by Nevada last year, dude. It doesn't get much worse than that.
Don't remind me.
So yeah, dude, to me, there's no reason to panic. Yes, I'm not happy with the way they played. They haven't played up to my expectations, but I understand it's a developing situation. And we can't panic. We can't freak out. We can't overreact. Just keep watching and having fun, man. We still got, 3 games under our belt. So we got 9 games left. I'm terrible at math. If I was good at math, I wouldn't do what I do for a living. So, so yeah, we still got a lot of season left. I'm going to enjoy it. And hopefully we get to see some of that development we're expecting from this offense.
Well, Robert Wilcox is getting restless. He's getting restless. Guys, thank you for joining into the chat. I see all you guys. We're going to answer all your questions, comments, and concerns very shortly. Robbie, I see you. Casillas, of course. See T-Mac. I got you in just a second. You know, one of the things that I think we failed to bring up in this game in particular is that Coach Lewis, it's a new chance at being the head coach of a team. But in week 1, right, when you're starting Danny Dimes, Danny O'Neal, it's his first start as a quarterback with the team. Well, this was also a first start, and this was for Javance Johnson this time. Now, they kept things under wraps as much as possible to not reveal who was going to be the starting quarterback, because Daniel obviously was hobbled in that second game against Oregon State, and they played him through, showed great toughness there. But all week long, we were hearing the speculation, Javance is going to start. And that was always the rumblings. And then on game day, of course, you know, through our sauces, we got a little heads up. That Javance was, of course, going to get the start. And I was very excited to see that. We're going to bring Fiend on in just a moment. He was also very excited there with me in San Francisco and in Berkeley, and we were pumped to see Javance get that start. Hometown kid from Oakland. He had a lot of family and supporters there, so that was a special moment for him. He didn't, you know, here's the thing. Did he do enough to earn that starting job? I don't think you can say that. I think, you know, and this is where Sean Lewis has really handled himself well in this situation that, you know what, yeah, he named Danny O'Neil a starter week 1, but it was always with the understanding to everyone there that this is a week-by-week thing. He said it plain as day. People may not believe it, right? Right? But he did say it. This is a week-by-week thing. You never know what's going to happen every week in college football, man.
Yeah.
Injuries are a real thing. We obviously have seen it now. And with this new system, I mean, things happen. So I'm very happy that Javant's got the start in this situation. He's got those jitters out, and what a chance to get that start at home. You know, he said there were nerves, got him out. If he gets that opportunity moving forward, whether it's next week or in 2 weeks, with the bye week, he'll be better prepared for it, and it'll be a better experience, I believe, for him.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it before the season started, just the nature of this offense, what it requires the quarterback to do. Injuries are likely to happen. And so it's nice to get another guy with meaningful playing time in there. Do I think he did enough to earn the starting job? I don't think so personally. I'm not on the coaching staff, so I don't know how he did in like the reads and everything that we don't know are going on the play. But I did there's a lot that I like from him. He's got a lot of potential athletically, man. He's such a gifted athlete. He's got pretty much all the tools you want out of a guy. But you know, it was first game jitters. Kind of, we talked about Danny O'Neil's first game, you know, overthrowing everybody. The only thing I didn't like about his play was he was more versus Danny O'Neil, just a comparison. He put the ball in a position to be taken away by the other team more than Danny O'Neil did when Danny O'Neil was nervous in his first start. Granted, it was different competition,
Right.
but still, just the location of his throws, when he missed guys, he kind of missed them in a way where the defender had a chance to get the ball, versus where Danny O'Neil missed guys, it was our guy could catch it or nobody's going to catch it. So that's kind of a little bit of a concern, but that's something, you know, as his first game, I'm not going to judge him on that.
It just means he's a gunslinger, man. He's fitting that ball in tight windows. And I hear what you're saying. I mean, seeing him sitting there at the angle, it's like, wow, he's throwing some, you know, risky balls in there. He's like fitting in that window, whether it was accurate or not. Okay, but he was going for it.
Yeah.
One thing I liked was him on with his legs.
Yes.
He obviously had that ability, and you could see it. Like, he had some nice runs.
Other than that fourth down play where he had a little stumble.
Yeah.
Because I was excited. I had a feeling they were going to run something with him on that play, and you could tell. I think he tried to run like before he was ready. I think maybe. But yeah, he showed a lot. There's a lot of potential there. It's kind of nice to have a couple freshman quarterbacks that have a lot of talent, a lot of
very talented. Both of these dudes. Yes.
Yeah. So the only thing I will say is I kind of wish they would have got Duffy in the game a little bit towards the end of the game.
Okay.
Just to give him some reps too.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like live reps, and the more guys you have that have live reps, the better as the season goes on. Because, like I said, injuries are a very likely proposition in this offense. So yeah, that was like the only thing I would have liked to have seen out of the decisions the coaches made. But you know, I guess getting Javant's more reps is nothing wrong with that either. So
T-Mac says that stumble was painful. I'm going to get to your comment, T-Mac, in just a second. I actually want to bring in our good friend. You guys know him. You guys love him or hate him. Sometimes Cal fans sure enough hated him very much this weekend, and rightfully so. But before we bring in Fiend, you guys know Fiend. Before we bring him in, let's check out a little mini movie of our trip in Cal Berkeley.
Oh man,
the Bay Area Aztecs group there on campus. They were very hospitable. Got a lot of the Bay Area fans there together, which was really cool. And just cruising around the streets of Berkeley, as you guys see. Flavor Guy there made the trip. The campus is kind of weird, man. We got to see Rod Hawkins, basketball star for the Aztecs. He was very cool, very cool. Shout out to Rod Hawkins and the fam. They said that house looked like a Hogwarts house, dude. It was like Harry Potter. Look at Fiend sitting on top of the bear. The disrespect.
He was riding that bear.
All right, we'll turn it down. And then Big Matt, really, dude is like 6'7" or something like that. He's looking down on all these Cal players, saying how small they are. It's pretty awesome. We're gonna have to get Fiend's review of the Memorial Stadium that they have there, man. All the porta potties lined up. We were ready for it. Tightwad Hill up there on the hill. These loafers get to watch the game up there for free. And yeah, day turned to night, and it was what it was. It was what it was. Fiend, what's going on, man? Can you hear us okay? Can you hear us okay? I hope so. I don't know if Fiend can hear us or not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, loud and clear, guys. Can you hear me?
Oh, as I see the glizzies, all the glizzies lined
can
up
hear
out
you.
there, dude. What's going on, man? How are you doing? As we get situated here, how are you doing, Fiend?
I'm doing awesome, man. Really enjoyed that trip to San Francisco. It was a great time. Enjoyed a Padres win. At least we got to see one win, right? Just really good time hanging out with you in San Francisco and Berkeley. And I wish we could have seen the NASDAQ win, but hey, tailgate always wins. We had a good time tailgating and all the festivities that happened before and after.
You guys had kind of like a L sandwich, huh? Two Padres dubs.
Yeah.
Surrounding an Aztec
yeah.
L. I guess that's better than a triple L.
3 out of 4 ain't bad. All of them came by way of the Padres. And Fiend was there with me on Friday with Matt Riley on the Padres victory there, but he wasn't with me on Sunday. And apparently I got to see the first opposite field home run in the splash zone there in Giant Stadium. I wish it didn't happen. It was in the bottom of the ninth, tied it up, but Padres prevailed and they won. Fiend T-Mac says you showed the bear too much respect. He blames you for not disrespecting. Oski?
Yeah, I had to push back on that, man. I got ganged up by Cal Twitter this week, and I didn't get much backing from Aztec Twitter, so I pretty much had to take them on by myself. But I think I held my own. I think I did all right.
It was like me in the old Mountain West Conference Board days, man.
Take a flamethrower at all these fools. Hey, Cal, they are loving themselves, man. They are feeling themselves now in the ACC. It was really weird to see ACC logo there on that field. Like, it just did not belong. It did not belong. Fiend, okay. T-Mac says, I returned back to the USA to lend positive energy, but things did not work out. Welcome back, T-Mac, to the States, by the way. Trying to catch a win before our return back. Is it true that we lost a wide receiver? Go Aztecs. Now, Balin Brooks, number 80, announced today, well, he wasn't on the roster, and that got things moving, that obviously he's not on the roster. He's not on the team anymore. Fiend, after this game in Berkeley, seeing that, I mean, you can't really comment too much on Balin's decision. I mean, he got some playing time. He got some running there. So I really don't understand the motivation behind his decision. I'm sure his personal reasons are what they are. But Fiend, from this offense and this performance, I mean, what do you take away from this against Cal after all the trash talk?
I mean, I got to push back on James. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, or QAnon, but dude, there was a lot of phantom calls that went against us. And there's got to be, I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy that the week that we announced that we're going to the Pac-12, we have a Mountain West ref crew that absolutely hoses us on like every big play that we have. I mean, we had 4th and 1 in Cal's territory, and they call the center offsides. Didn't see it when I watched the tape. And then a legal man downfield when we were like on their 15, we had that long pass play. There was no one downfield. And so it was just really kind of pissing me off that, these penalties, it didn't seem like we were committing. Like if we had actually committed these penalties, then I could accept it. But looking back on it, it just like looked like there was so many that, we just got screwed on, and it really affected the momentum in this game. And it put us again behind the sticks and in situations where, the play calling is it's pretty predictable, right? When you're in 3rd and long situations, you're probably going to throw the ball, and you're 2nd and medium, you're 2nd and short, you've got a bigger playbook. So that was kind of the frustration for me on the offensive end, and then on the defensive end, like we got really pushed back on that line. Our offensive, especially in the interior, the defensive line, were undersized, and those guys were getting pushed back into the linebackers who were getting swallowed up, and then holes were getting created, and they couldn't make the tackles. And then as soon as you knew it, 2nd level, 3rd levels having to make a tackle, and if they whiff, then it's pay dirt for Cal, and they just broke off some really long runs on us. So that was kind of frustrating. Really impressed with the special teams though, and really the gutsiness of the play calling by this coaching staff, going for it on 4th down several times, really trying to get us extra possessions. I really enjoyed that. But this is still a work in progress. We got a long way to go. We're not firing on all cylinders. Hopefully this will change with the bye week, and we'll get ready for Central Michigan next week.
I just want to note for you and the viewers, as he was denying the QAnon stuff, he's doing the Trump hand signals, the hand motions. I don't know, Fiend. I don't know, man. I think
me, man. That ain't me.
Was he doing the dance? Was he doing the dance? Doing the Trump dance? He's got it down. He's got it down. Oh boy. So where do we go from here, Fiend? Where do we go from here? We got the bye week. Now I see Jeremy LaHaye, he says, Javance played well, but Danny Dimes is the future without question. He has a better read on the offense and superior touch on the ball. Now Fiend is showing off. If you guys have not seen Danny Dimes, this shirt is right now available in the shop. That's right. We got an NIL agreement with Danny. So that's not swaying what we're saying. That's not like, manipulating our opinions. And Fiend is your excellent model there, Fiend.
Thank you.
Excellent model. Now, those curls, bro.
Man.
But that mullet, those curls you had on there, bro, you kind of look like the albino Easy-E version, bro. It's kind of Ice Cube, albino Ice Cube, bro. It's pretty dope. You should keep it.
Man, straight out the trailer park, man.
albino NWA Ice Cube, man. That's a good call, dude.
That's great.
But I kind of agree with that with Jeremy. I think from the little that we've seen, but you just never know. I mean, the progression that each guy is going to take. Piggybacking on Balin Brooks's decision. I mean, after this game, right? I mean, what are the odds that we're going to see some more decisions like this? This is a new era of college football. It kind of starts with one person that is maybe not happy with their role, maybe they're not happy with their progression, maybe it's just not a good fit on campus anymore. Who knows? I can only speculate, which I'm going to try not to do, right? But with so many different people vying for playing time, whether it's at the quarterback or wide receiver or running back, I mean, we got talented running backs that have not really gotten any carries. You got to have a team mentality in football. If you don't do something exceptionally great to where you stand out big time and you cannot not get those carries or get those receptions or get those opportunities to throw the ball, like, you have to just embrace that team mentality, and it's all about the team. So to see that departure, it sucks. Be honest with you, it sucks. I don't like to see it, but all respect to him, and I just hope we don't see this. You
never know what's going on in a kid's life, what he's got going on. So I'll never say anything bad about a kid deciding to leave. I'm glad he did it now. It's nice. It's kind of the nice thing about the new rule is where they can play 4 games without losing their year of eligibility.
That's true.
It's nice for the player because he keeps his year, and it's nice for the team because now the team knows, okay, well, this guy's not going to be here next year, and we can have somebody else get those reps that he was going to get.
Yeah.
So I like it that he made the call and he made it before the bye week. So now they've got a week to plug in the new guy to get in and get reps. So, I wish him the best of luck wherever he lands. And we also lost a cornerback, I believe, as well. I forgot his name, Bennett Walker or Walker Bennett, one of those.
I haven't heard that one.
So yeah, I'm good luck to those guys. I hope nothing but success for them. But it gives the team an opportunity to move on and kind of plug in other guys that, are deserving of playing time as well. So, it sucks to lose Balin because, we were big fans of him on this podcast. All of us, when Dan was on it with us too, like all 3 of us loved
a lot of ability,
loved his potential
there, man. Yeah.
But you got to move on and next guy up kind of thing. And we'll see how it goes,
How about Jordan Napier? Napier?
Man.
Let's talk about a playmaker there who man, just a tremendous effort there to get the lone score against Cal. That was terrific. And, he had a drop earlier, right? Made up for it. So that was really, really good to see. hopefully that's somebody that can continue to flourish and grow. Fiend, anything else, man? Anything else? Anything you want to tell all the Cal Golden Bears, and you were in Bear territory there? Anything you want to comment about that stadium? How wonderful it was?
Yeah, your stadium is shitty. I mean,
That was the word of the weekend, bro. That was the word of the weekend.
no, for real. I mean, I'm sorry, but an ACC stadium. When we were at the pregame, right? I went up to, I think it was Jim Barry, and he's got a daughter that goes to Cal, and he said,
shout out to Barry.
he said to me, hey, look, you might want to use the bathroom before you go to the stadium. And I just thought that's a really unusual request. Like, why is he asking me that? And he said the reason why is because they only have porta potties on the visiting side. I'm like,
Wow.
wait, excuse me? I mean, they just put in $400 million into a renovation, and they couldn't afford working toilets. You still got porta potties. And apparently Ken Abel said that that's an upgrade, because back in the day in the early 80s, they used to pee on a pole behind the snack shop. So they've come a long way from those days, but still, you know, the Little League field down the street from me has porta potties, and we're visiting an ACC stadium with the same thing, same amenities. So yeah, all you visiting fans out there, Miami, I don't know who else is visiting there, but yeah, make sure you go to the bathroom before you head to the stadium.
To be fair, like 90% of that money they spent on the upgrade was for structural integrity stuff, because they built
it on a fault line.
Very smart. Very smart. Very smart. Oh boy, Fiend, do you let's bring you in on a little later, Fiend. Let's bring you on a little later. Is that okay?
That sounds good, guys. All right.
We'll touch base in just a couple minutes, man. We'll touch base in a couple minutes. Thank you, Fiend. See you in just a second. Guys, I'm gonna take this opportunity. We're probably at the halfway point here or so. Just want to say right now, of course, you guys know it's coming. You guys know it's coming right now. Manscaped.com.
Oh yeah.
Oh, breathe that in. Manscaped.com. Breathe that in. Yes, very nice. Manscaped.com. Save 20% off plus free shipping on your order today. They have been so great with us. Their products have been amazing. I took it on the road trip with me. I'm gonna take it to Wyoming, because we are going to Wyoming for sure now.
Yeah, we're locked in.
You guys thought that this game would deter us? Not at all. It's maybe our last chance to go to Wyoming, to Laramie, and see that part of the Mountain West before we bounce. But I took my Manscaped with me on this trip, and man, I needed it. So from deodorant to underwear to anything that you need grooming, manscaped.com is the way to go. Save 20% off, as it says down below right there, by using the promo code SUNS20. Now, they are a local-based business, but they are known worldwide. You guys have seen their ads on from UFC to anything, all kinds of podcasts, and they've been gracious to allow us to have this partnership. So support them, support us. We appreciate you guys, and hopefully get some good products from Manscaped.com.
Yeah, man. I used mine today, dude. Look, feel it, man. Feel it.
Oh man, it's very smooth, very smooth. I ain't gonna touch it though.
Don't be scared, Mateo.
All right, I see you guys all in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Ryan Sutter, thank you so much, man. He says he missed us. It's been too long. I know. We wanted to get our opinions out about this Pac-12 decision, landmark decision. So I think we're gonna dive into that now, because it's bye week. It's a bye week, as Andrew is showing us. He is his progress on his kombucha. Thank you very much.
Oh, he said make sure to mention Over the Tap.
Over the Tap.
And their
absolutely
great selection of brews here they have. Nice ambiance. You can hear the music in the background. They play some good jams. So can't recommend this place enough. We are here quite frequently, probably too much.
This summer, it was like Swish League summer for us. Like after every single game, it felt like we were coming back here, home base, Over the Tap, comparing notes, trying to get better in our production, and just talk about everything that was going on. This was home base. Over the Tap for sure. Great spot in my neck of the woods, down south.
Down south. So yeah, if you're in the South Bay, man, this is a good spot to come hit up to get a nice little after work drink.
All right. So Pac-12, James, this is what we wanted for a couple of years now.
couple of years, couple decades.
Oh man, well, realistically, it wasn't a viable. It was never going to be a realistic option until these last couple of years, and we went through everything we did last year. Of course, as fans, of course, the administration, they went through everything. The student athletes, it was a tough break, and now that the Pac-12 has joined together with the 4 teams from the Mountain West, and basically they're revamping the conference. We put out an article, and basically I called this edition, this revamped Pac-12. This was like a reward for San Diego State's all of their success up to this point, right? And I truly do believe that the Pac-12, this opportunity to forge something new, like all the talking points, all the inspiring talking points of the future and all that good stuff. Like I totally buy into all that. I believe it. I think this is it really is a good opportunity to create something new, something different. Yes, you have the Pac-12 name brand on it, but that's a quality name brand. It's still going to point towards those conference of championship days or whatever. But then on the other side, dude, let's not act as if this was something that, some great achievement that is all of a sudden we are, the world's best thing in college football and college sports. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Like, this should have happened at this point in time. It was the best thing to come out of a terrible situation. So I don't want to overhype it too much. There's a great opportunity there. But like I said, if this didn't happen, so all I'm saying is Aztecs, San Diego State, let's make the most of this decision because this had to happen. If this wasn't going to happen, what would be the alternative, So while it is a good thing, hey.
Yeah, that's make no mistake. We're not saying this is the Pac-12 we were hoping to go to, last year. Obviously, but I'm still excited about it. I'm not like stoked like I was before going into the old Pac-12.
Sure.
I'm still excited, and depending on who they add as the next 2 teams, I could be stoked again. If it's who we've heard talked about, Memphis and Tulane, that's very exciting. As a basketball fan, you should be super stoked to be in the conference with Memphis. And as a football fan, Tulane and Memphis are both solid programs. And plus, I mean, road trips don't get a lot better than New Orleans and Beale Street in Memphis. So yeah, man, I'm really excited. I'm getting more excited the closer we get to the 8 teams that it's going to be most likely. The biggest thing is the more I thought about it over the weekend, and you talked about what would happen if this didn't happen, we would have stagnation in the Mountain West pretty much. We'd be where we've been for the last 20-ish years. I forgot the exact number. What was it, 99 they started it? And the biggest thing I thought about is San Diego State has been a top program in this conference for a majority of the history of the conference, but the conference has never treated San Diego State like one of the top programs in the conference.
This is true.
In basketball or football. The basketball program did not want to go to a 20-game basketball schedule. What did the Mountain West do? Go to a 20-game basketball schedule. The football team did not want Boise State to get their money carve out. They wanted to vote it down. What happens? Boise State got to keep their money carve out. So the more I thought about it, just the fact that we're getting away from the Mountain West and those front range teams, schools controlling the conference, the better. Like that's a win in and of itself. That's going to be better for the program because it seems like this new conference they're putting together is going to be a collaboration. All 6 schools that are in the conference now are going to together decide on things versus the Mountain West doing what's best for the front range schools, it seems like. And fans of their schools will tell you, no, that's not how it is. But look at all the decisions that were made. Having the Mountain West Championship game, as much as we love it in Vegas, having it in the Thomas and Mack Center every year, just because they gave the Mountain West a sweet deal, versus any other venue that in Vegas we could have had the Mountain West Championship tournament in Las Vegas, or that one year they moved it. Where did they move it to? Denver. Instead of having it in Denver, why not have it in San Diego? Yeah, so things like that. That in and of itself is a good enough reason for us to do this. and hopefully it's going to be a significant pay raise. And just think about the conference home schedule. You're going to have Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Fresno State. And that's another thing. Fresno State is our rival. We're not playing them this year. Like, what kind of sense does that make? So, yeah, I think this is an all in all good move. It could be a great move depending on who they add, and I'm super excited to see. We may get the news this week. There's rumblings that we're going to find out this week who the next two teams are, and if it's Memphis and Tulane, like they've talked about, I'm super stoked about that. Tulane is a world-class academic school, so it's great to have that in the conference. A solid football program. To be honest, I don't know much about Tulane basketball, but Memphis is a solid, really good football program, and it's basically a basketball blue blood. So yeah, man, I'm super stoked for this, and I can't wait to see who these two teams are. Hopefully this week.
I flash it up there. Kevin Napolitano, thank you. What's going on, man? He says yearly games versus Fresno State, Boise State is a good thing every year, right? With the divisions, we didn't ever have that in the Mountain West. It was like playing Boise once every 3 years or something like that. Your two top football schools along with Fresno State. So along with Oregon State and Washington State as well, that's a definite plus, right? I mean, we would have loved to have those games every single year. And then, of course, Robert Wilcox says, I never felt the Mountain West valued SDSU much at all. They always seem to favor the mountain schools. And that was coming from, supposedly a charter member. San Diego State was a charter member of the Mountain West. So despite that, when us and Boise, like you said, when we left and they brought us back, it was Boise who got that pay raise, right? Now with the Pac-12, those two schools, as we see, Mr. Manny Machado is up to bat, right? I think got a man on third. Okay, it's a little timeout. Watch a little break here. I know not every Aztec is a Padre fan, but when you're in a pennant race and you're down here in San Diego, we'll have to give you guys a play-by-play. But with Oregon State and Washington State, obviously they're gonna have, as much as they want to make it even with all 6 teams right now. I mean, they're definitely gonna have much more to say so, since they are the ones who fought to keep that brand name of the Pac-12, right? So there's something that comes with that. They didn't do all that fighting, all that litigation for nothing. And if they're paying up the bill to get us out of the Mountain West and all that good stuff, I mean, we'll see if the Mountain West maybe implodes, if a couple Air Force looks like they may be leaving to the AAC, if that's true. Maybe some other teams leave and the Mountain West may have to dissolve, and then they'll be off the hook for all those millions getting us out of the Mountain West. I've seen that all over the place as well. That may be a realistic option. I don't know. I'm just happy, like you said, to get away from the Mountain West schools a little bit. Air Force can't stand playing them in football or basketball, to be honest with you. Oh boy, that was close.
Yeah, I like the triple option, so I enjoy watching them in football.
Who likes the triple?
I'm a football nerd, man. I love the triple option.
Oh, yeah.
But basketball, yeah, it was miserable watching the basketball team have to go up there to that elevation and play that team. And they always use that like Princeton offense most of the time, and that allowed them to pull off an upset every now and then. And that was like a nightmare for your strength of schedule for seeding for the bracketology.
Terrible.
So yeah, dude, I'm glad not to have to play them anymore every year. I try to look at it from both sides. I'm a football guy, but I enjoy basketball. But I try to look at it from a basketball fan's perspective, and I can see how there might be a little bit of trepidation because you're losing those rivalries with UNLV, New Mexico.
Yeah.
As much as I don't think it's a rivalry, you guys like you do, Utah State. I still think there's potential in this conference. Again, if they get Memphis, man, that's like there's no team in the Mountain West that is on Memphis's level year in and year out. So having a team like that San Diego State has to compete against every year to win the conference is, man, that's going to be awesome.
Well, you dipped into basketball a little bit. So on that note, I think we should dip into our good friend up there in East Tahoe, as we otherwise known as Reno. And that is Mike Tortolot on the other half of the Basketball Kiss the Rings episode. We're going to bring him in right now. What's going on, Mike? Thank you for staying up late to talk with us, man. Is it past your bedtime, dude? Past your bedtime?
It's way past my bedtime, but you know what? James's laugh just keeps me motivated, man.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Miss you, dude. It's good to see you live and on the screen, dude. Hopefully we're gonna see you very soon down here in our neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, it's my summer break, so I got out of bed. I got out of bed for you guys because the Pac-12 news is interesting.
We're honored.
Yeah.
Sergio says, Mike.
like I don't chime in on the football too much because I've kind of been there, done that. But like my thought process on this team is they have a lot of talent, but it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good one.
so you can't expect these 18-year-old kids to come in and just ball out. Like it just doesn't work like that. Very rarely, right? So they'll get better by week. Just get a little bit better each week, and they'll be fine.
And that's the tough thing is like they are balling out in certain areas, and they're just not being rewarded in the end in the stat sheet or in the final score. Like some of them are really balling out, but football is such a different animal, man. You got to play so together as one that those mental mistakes don't ruin the end result of what you're trying to accomplish. And hoops, oh man, I wish I was, just the crummiest guy on the bench where I could just take advantage of, put me in, coach, for a couple minutes and go watch Jordan just run around there and just take over a game, right? Jeez,
Yeah.
Story of my life.
The defense looks great, man, but you got playmakers on the outside, and you got that running back who's nice.
Yeah.
But it all starts with the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having trouble in the trenches, that doesn't mean anything. So hopefully they clean that up. Love to get a good victory against Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, tell me your reaction when you heard the Pac-12 decision. I mean, with hoops, right? It's a little weird. It is a little weird because like Oregon State, Washington State, you don't necessarily think of hoops, right? They often put football at the forefront, but they've had some success, both of them, more Washington State, I think, right? But what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts of this decision of Pac-12 at this point in time?
I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, part of me doesn't really care what conference we're in. The other part is like, cool, it's better than the Mountain West, right? I like the Mountain West, but if you get a chance to go to the Pac-12 and restart it and rebuild it, like kind of like you did the Mountain West, I think you have to take that opportunity, and you bring in Boise. Obviously, this is a football move. This is not a basketball move, because basketball, we'd be fine in any conference we're in. But it's going to be interesting. I was kind of fascinated by it because I think everybody always wanted to be in the Pac-12 at some point. It's a different Pac-12, but I'm really fascinated to see what happens with these other teams that are in discussions, because the X factor I'm thinking about is the ACC going to fall apart here? Like Florida State and Clemson is suing them. Like, if you're Memphis and Tulane, do you wait and see what happens with that, or do you just jump into the Pac-12? Everybody's talking about being a purist. I'm a purist. It's got a Pac-12 is Pacific Coast, right? It doesn't really exist anymore. All these teams are all over the country. So I love it. Hey, man, if we get to play, I guess in 2 years, right? So we'll know in 2 years how many they are. But we don't have to travel to altitude as much outside of Colorado State as of now. Boise's up there a little bit, but those trips to Wyoming and Utah State, where Fiend goes in summer to vacation,
goes out there to tan. Yes.
Yeah. Like I've always, as I get older, they're student athletes, man. They're not athletes that are students. And you start treating them like athletes that are students, they still got to do their classwork, which they always do, which is amazing to me with their schedule. But it's just, I'm excited for something new, I guess is the best way to put it. Right. I want to get to, before we bounce, I don't know if Colorado State will still be there, but I still want to get to Wyoming and Utah State before we leave. So just to see those atmospheres, that would be fun. I mean, Colorado State to me is like, I still remember DJ Gay hitting that game winner.
Yeah.
You remember that? I was going nuts, dude. But this is fun, man. Like, nothing is going to stay the same. You just got to take it how it is and see what happens. And Wicker and Adela, obviously they were doing their thing, and they're going to put us in a spot they feel is the best for us moving forward. And if you get that opportunity, you got to take it.
Yeah, man. What are your thoughts on the rumors that it's Memphis and Tulane? Like, what are your thoughts? Are you excited about the possibility of having Memphis in the conference?
The only reason I like Memphis because I get to go to Memphis, where Justin Timberlake's from. I love me some Justin Timberlake, bro. I love me some Justin Timberlake. I love me some barbecue. So that would be fun. I'm excited to see who it is. The rumors are the rumors. Whoever it is, I think it's going to help the conference. So I'm looking forward to seeing who it is. Yeah, Fiend does need to find another basketball team. That'll be. But it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, Memphis, I've never been. I'd love to go to a road trip there, and New Orleans. I spent a lot of time down there, so that's a great city. But like it, I don't know. As a president of one of those schools, do you make a decision right now, and then in 6 months, 6 weeks, whatever the ACC, something happens? Like, I just don't know if there's a rush right now to do anything, but I also don't know this, what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, we would have never left if they didn't throw all that money for us from the Pac-12 or whatever you want to call it. So the situation has to be right. Whoever we get in the conference, it'll be new road trips to go to and new teams to play and face every year. And just really excited we could see Stephen Ashworth on Tuesday, November 26th in Las Vegas.
I've been watching some talk radio from the Memphis area and guys that cover Memphis basketball and football. And it seems like they're kind of all on board with it because, they've kind of have a history of being always waiting for like that next step up, the Big East. And then they finally got it and it fell apart. And, waiting for the Big 12 and it never came, or the ACC and it never came. So from what I understand, listening to them, they're just like, hey, let's do it. It's better than the AAC. We'll get to play Boise, San Diego State, Colorado State, Washington State, Oregon State versus, I don't even remember who's like ECU. I don't even know who's in the AAC anymore. They've done so much changing recently.
And Andy sent me a good video today of some of their podcast people or whatever, just complaining like where they're at right now is the worst conference they've ever been in their whole entire history. So I think they're looking for things. It
kind of mirrors us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you guys say, it's kind of mirrors us. So it's, do you take it and you move on, and then you just kind of let the chips lay where they may? I don't know, man. That's an interesting decision to make. It'll be fascinating. I'm excited to see the opportunities and who we get to join in the conference.
We got some action. We got a tie game. I'm seeing
off Hater
run across home plate right now.
That was Hater. That was so.
Oh yeah.
Side note: remember, Hater was I don't pitch 4 innings or four outs, and then he comes in. There was 1 out, 2 outs in the 8th, and then now it's tied. Good.
Oh,
yeah.
This team,
Andrew jump out of the bar stool right now.
Dude. Side note though, this team is different, man. This Padres team is nice, dude. Like Manny up at the bat just looked looser than I've ever seen him even though he struck out. He just looked like loose. They look loose. They look like they're having fun. They look like they're.
Yeah.
I'm pumped to see this team. Hopefully they get to the playoffs and see what they can do. But it's been a good week for San Diego State sports. Getting that news, accepting it. Because I know Boise was trying to get away and do their thing too. So, you lock them kind of up and you lock everybody up and you see what happens. Do you think, let me ask you this question. I saw something about University of Texas, San Antonio. I don't know about that. What about like an SMU? I know you guys talked about the last podcast.
They're in the big, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they're locked in because when they joined the ACC, they signed that grant of rights.
Oh.
And that goes for the remainder of the deal. I think it expires in like 2032. So I think like Cal, Stanford, SMU, they're locked in, and the only way they come is if the ACC falls apart. And I think that's what the radio show I was listening to. They're like, yeah, so what if the ACC falls apart? They're going to lose Clemson, Florida State, maybe Virginia, North Carolina. Like, do we want to be in that ACC versus the Pac-12? And that's kind of their rationale for like, let's just go to the Pac-12. It may be better than what's left of the ACC after it falls apart. So that's, another thing to consider and what they're probably thinking about too. So yeah, dude, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, it's going to be fun to watch to see how this plays out over these it's got to happen fast because they have to have 8 teams by 2026. And to move
scheduling,
to move conferences.
Everything.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's got to happen like in the next month or so, I want to say. So it'll be fun to see.
Sergio says no more blue latex gloves, meaning for Fiend. So let's go ahead and bring Fiend back into the equation here. What's going on, Fiend? Let's switch you guys over here so you guys can be looking at each other and keep you guys apart because I know you guys.
Did you change your shirt?
I represent the Manscaped.
Guys, Jeremy says no to UTSA. I'm not so opposed against San Antonio, but definitely Memphis and Tulane are the top two favorites in my book as well, just for the destination.
Yeah.
The academics and on the field, they all seem to be pointing in the right direction up. Now, UNLV has been reported out there, right? They were left out of the Mountain West. I think that was on purpose. I don't necessarily see them joining the Pac-12. I don't think the Pac-12 is going to go that route. If they didn't make the initial cut, I don't see that happening. But, no matter what happens with the ACC, that may dictate some things. I'm not sure.
I think UNLV is tied to Nevada.
Yeah.
Really, you're up there in that area. Is it really like that?
It was something like they're the only two colleges in Nevada.
So what?
So they're tied for the same board of regents, I think is what it's called, or the
They've
same
been apart
school
before,
board,
like,
right? But they don't want them in different conferences for whatever reason. So that's why UNLV didn't. I think if that wasn't the case, I think UNLV would have came.
Like
But I
not
don't-
for this conference. If it was the Big 12 or something like that, they'd probably let them split up because the money.
I don't know. I know they would like to keep them together if at all possible.
Yeah.
But if the Mountain West dissolves, I don't know.
I think eventually UNLV is going to come on over to the Pac-12. I just think it makes too much sense, and I think they're eventually going to break up, Nevada and UNLV. Nevada's they've played in different conferences before, right? Nevada was in the WAC, UNLV was in Mountain West, so they've done it before. There's a precedent there. I think it makes too much sense for UNLV to be in the Pac-12.
If I was the grand czar of the Pac-12 and college football, I would like to see, obviously, Tulane and Memphis 7 and 8, but 9 and 10. I would like UNLV and like UTSA. That way, you get into Texas, you still get UNLV. I think that would be a good two additions. I like UNLV versus another Texas school like North Texas or something like that.
UTSA. The only pushback on that is their basketball is just really bad, and their facilities are not good. But I understand that this whole deal revolves around football, and that's why they're doing it, to get the maximum deal. Yeah. Totally understand that. And if UTSA will commit to upgrading their stadium, or their arena by coming to the Pac-12, then that's a good faith showing, and reason to give them a bid.
T-Max says SMU has plenty of money they can buy their way out of anything, which
that's true. That's true.
So if they're in a very disadvantaged situation, then it might be worth it for them to get out of there. Rob says UTSA gets you in San Antonio, North Texas gets you into Dallas. Don't we want a presence in Texas in the new PAC? I'm not so sure. I mean, it seems like it would be a good thing media wise, and that's what some others in the chat seem to think all about.
Like getting into Texas. I don't mean to cut you off, Bean, but UTSA, I like that because there's no pro team in San Antonio. There's no other big college in San Antonio. The nearest one is probably Texas. Everybody in San Antonio is a Texas fan, it seems like. So there's a ability maybe to create a brand there long term versus North Texas. Man, you've got TCU, Baylor, SMU, all like within like an hour or so drive of North Texas. So, you're kind of, and then not to mention all the college and pro teams in Dallas. So it's kind of, what would you call it? Oversaturated. So I'm not big on the North Texas thing, but definitely I could see UTSA. That's a good sized market, and it's not really a lot around there as far as pro or college teams. So that's definitely one I'm open to is UTSA, and you got to get into the Texas market. Definitely is worth it. But it's got to work out on paper. We'll see how it goes, and actually kind of create a bridge to the other Central Time Zone team.
We got some Beavers in the chat.
Good point.
Got some Beavers in the chat. Thank you guys for joining and being welcoming. Texas State would be a bad option, Clint Moses says. I'm not opposed to two Texas schools though. So, okay, there's that. Where's all the Cougs at, man? Where's all the Cougs at? We need some Washington State love up in here, man. Are they not? They're probably so mad to be a part of this thing. All right.
Yeah, I saw somebody in the chat said Rice. Definitely, that's one you consider. Obviously, they've been very bad for a very long time in football, but they're not so great in baseball right now. But they have a history of being really good in baseball, and it's like a world-class academic institution. And that's kind of, even though all of them are gone from the old Pac-12, it would be nice to get some more world-class institutions, because that's another thing we don't think about as sports fans is you want your conference to kind of upgrade everybody, uplift everybody, both academically and athletically. So having like a Tulane and a Rice, having big, high quality schools like that in your conference kind of gives some rub to the rest of the conference as far as improving academically.
Yeah, and we need the improvement because we brought in Boise. So
that goes without saying.
Guys, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? If the ACC implodes or if they lose a couple more, is there even this is like many moves down the chain. Is there even an option to where if the ACC, maybe they lose a couple, right, as what's swirling around, do they reach out to San Diego State to help kind of fortify a Western wing with Cal and Stanford and SMU? Is that even like I know that's kind of a couple moves down, but they would probably go towards Washington State, Oregon State, but geographically they're so far Pacific Northwest.
I mean, if the ACC completely falls apart, like I talked about, a bunch of teams leave to the Big Ten and the SEC or wherever, it may be a thing where like the ACC and the Pac-12 combine, and that's another option. You move Cal Stanford back to the Pac-12 technically, but it's kind of like a mix, and move Tulane and Memphis over to the ACC section, and you have, the super conference, the super G5 conference that we've always heard about.
Yeah.
So that's like an option too. And I think that may be one of the reasons that Memphis is more than likely to consider going to the Pac-12 is, the thermonuclear end result is all the great teams leave the ACC. That's not great teams, great brands leave the ACC. That could be a possibility of what might happen.
Okay. All right. Well, still a lot more to go. Mike, Fiend, any thoughts on just for some giggles, right? Mountain West. Who's the Mountain West backfilling after San Diego State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and Boise State? All the state schools have left. Utah State is the lone state survivor. Who's the Mountain West going to backfill with, man? I like to have fun and think about these type of things. It's a little.
Well, I think the Mountain West, when you think of the Mountain West, you think of the mountain time zone. So the teams like Montana State would be perfect fits to have a rivalry against Wyoming, and New Mexico. Though Utah State, I mean, those are perfect fits for the Mountain West. And I've heard that Sacramento State could possibly move up from FCS, Cal State school. So that'd be good for them to get into the Mountain West. I'm sure those teams that are sticking around are not happy to have the backfillers and to kind of be left behind. But hey, this is just the game it is, and either whether they're in a poor medium market or they didn't upgrade their facilities, which we sure learned from that experience, seeing other teams in the Mountain West move up before us. That's the price you pay. And so I don't really feel bad for him. Sorry.
Sac State to the Mountain West. I'm seeing. I agree with Kevin. I think UTEP and New Mexico State are kind of
they're kind of like the obvious
ones.
choices.
Yeah.
UTEP was in a conference with a lot of these schools before in the WAC, and same with New Mexico State, and they have built-in rivalries with New Mexico. So I think that makes a whole lot of sense to backfill with those two. But the what I go back to is the old Mexican saying, "No me importa."
I think that's written on Mike's face right now. He's like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want the Padres to win right now. That's all I care about right now.
I mean,
that's somebody else's problem.
I would prefer not to have University of Texas San Antonio and Texas
Really?
State in the Pac-12. Yeah, I just don't. That doesn't fit, man. Like I don't know. Would you, if you're not even talking about them going to the Mountain West, do you think they're going to pop up to the Pac-2, 3, whatever you want to call it? I just don't know if that's a fit. You know what I mean? Like it's a big market, and I get that, but I don't know. I would probably, like you guys say, Memphis, Tulane, maybe Rice, and then I've seen a lot of stuff about. Do you throw in I don't know how logistically it would work, but people are like, well, what if you throw in Gonzaga for basketball only? I mean, I don't know if that makes sense or not. You know what I mean? Because I think they want it's football driven, and obviously they're not. So, it'll be interesting to see, man. Like it's I've talked about. I don't care who we play. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. You know what I mean? And let's just see where the chips fall. And if they have until January June of 2026, you said, Kevin?
Yep.
So we got a little bit of time. No rush to be quick, but don't be rushing. You know.
I'd like to have a Texas school in there just because it's a football crazed state. You're going to get viewership. People are more interested in football in that state than in other parts of the country. And for the recruiting grounds, you know, teams like Boise, teams like Colorado State, we used to recruit a lot out of Texas. I'm not sure how much recruiting we're going to do anymore with the new coaching staff, but I think it makes sense to have a team in the Mountain West from Texas. So now you have schools in California and Texas. They can, you know, their families can go to games that are close to home. And so I think it makes perfect sense to bring in at least one Texas school.
Very well said.
If you had to pick one, who would it be? If you could have your choice.
That's a tough one. I mean, because North Texas is good, but I totally get what James is saying about the saturation and in that market. And UTSA, they really are an upstart program in a city that doesn't have a pro team just like San Diego. So I think that makes sense. I'm just concerned on the basketball side because of the facilities and the lack of success that they've had in basketball.
I think I'm rolling with UTSA if we're talking about Texas schools for sure.
Yeah, I think I like UTSA. I wouldn't be disappointed, but I think I'm leaning towards Rice just because the academic side mostly. And, you know, it's Houston. It's I think somebody said in the chat, you know, Houston's a lot closer to Tulane. So that'll be good for travel for those schools that are out there. You know, but I would be happy with either one, Rice or UTSA. Those would be my two choices if I had to pick a team in Texas. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
We will see what happens, guys, and we'll keep up on it and share our thoughts on that. Mike, Fiend, thank you guys for staying up late, man. I know we still got some bonus baseball. Guys. Thank you guys for joining. We'll talk soon, and Mike, hopefully get to see you soon, man.
That would be lovely.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Good to see you guys.
Have a good night.
Go Aztecs.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. We heard from those two knuckleheads. Gotta love it. Gotta love their opinions, man. They bring it.
Oh, yeah.
So bye week comes at a great time. We got Central Michigan. Okay. Well, we'll have to dig into that one because, you know, this news with the Pac-12 came at an interesting time in between these two losses. It was like the loss against Oregon State. That sucked. Then you got this nice little jolt of energy with the Pac-12, and then you put that performance against Cal. But we got enough to chew on, and I think for these next 2 weeks, maybe there'll be some of those expansion decisions will happen before Central Michigan. So we'll have to see what happens between now and then.
We may get some by this weekend, dude. So
yeah, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Good. We need it. Got a bye week. Give us something. Come on, JD. Give us a leak. I still don't understand what that Big 12 news was all about that he put out. I still don't understand that. Like, just let me think about the Pac-12. Just let me think.
Yeah, he I don't know.
I don't want to think about that unless you're telling me there's a chance.
All right, man. I think we better.
We got some baseball to watch.
Yeah, we better close it out. The game's coming down to the wire.
Well, thank you guys for joining. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and share it with all your Aztec friends in Aztec Nation, from the Bay to San Diego, all across the world. I'm seeing Andrew over there. He's on the phone. He's handling business.
The mover and shaker.
Thank you guys. sonsofmontezuma.com. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon. I'm sure we'll see you guys soon.
Go Aztecs.
Have a good night.